And hello everyone. Well, that's good to see you again today in the fourth session, module 3. So, I don't know, but let me tell you, however, I don't see you or interact with you, but I've got the feeling that all my followers are really clever, captive, and um, active learners. So I wish you are. And I wish that you had revised all the recordings like for module 2 and module 1 so that you'll be aware of what we're doing. And my new or fresh uh, followers uh, who are going to attend starting from today can have a look at the previous recordings. So today we'll be talking about something new. Well, let's share the screen and see what we have today in module 3. Of course, module 1 was, let's make a little bit of a revision. It was about a product management. Module 2, network engineer, and we talked about how to interpret and implement instructions. Module 3, which we are going to have a look at today, is about software engineer. We're going to analyze factual information. So today we'll talk a little bit about software engineering. And of course, software means is that we're going to talk about programming and programs and languages or computer languages and stuff like that. So let's start and see. And as you can, as you know, is that if you're following from first module, is that we start with the reading. Of course, you know why? Because with the reading, you can be able to know all the vocab in the passage, and which is you're going to be using all the module. And of course, you're going to know a little bit about the information or what is the topic about. Okay, so let's start with the reading part. So, well, before we start in the reading, let me tell you is that module 3 is going to be split into 5 sections. Let's have a look at section 1, starting with the grammar. Section 2, as you can see, again, grammar. Section 3, listening. Section 4, grammar. And section 5, this is the reading part. What I would like all of you today to be a little bit focusing because it's not that easy module. Well, as you can see, it's coming in the middle of the modules, and we are having some quite, I'm not gonna say difficult information, but you need to be focusing in module 3. So let's start with the reading. And our reading, as you can see, is compiler versus interpreter. Compiler versus interpreter, what does it mean? Let's have a look at the vocab first. As you know, is that we start with the part 1 vocabulary, and then we know the information of some terminologies, and sometimes that we're going to be reading in the passage, and then we go on read. Okay, so exercise number 1, vocab, select the correct answer option. That means the same as each word or phrase. Question number 1, high level programming. High level programming. What is the meaning of high level programming? The correct answer is it's a language that enables development of a program in a more user-friendly programming context and is generally independent of the computer's hardware architecture. What does it mean؟ الكلام ده معناه ايه؟ خليني اقوله لكم بطريقة بسيطة جدا. high level programming ده نوع من انواع البرمجة مش بتبقى محتاجة مننا من المبرمج ان هو يدخل في تفاصيل او في قوانين تطبيق اوامر برمجة او هاردوير او الكلام ده، بتبقى بسيطة جدا. عشان كده بيسموها user friendly programming. user friendly programming ودي اسمها high level programming. ده first vocab. Question number 2. binary code. binary code. binary code, it means a system using the digits 0 and 1 to represent a letter, digit, or other character in a computer or other electronic device. طبعا دي معناها ده سيستم ما بيفهموش الا الكمبيوتر، والكمبيوتر ما بيفهمش الا اذا دخلت له المعلومات كلها، سواء كان لاتر يعني حرف او رقم او اي كاركتر تدخلها للكمبيوتر لازم تكون على شكل 0 او 1. اوكي؟ ودي لاي الكترونيك ديفايس او اي جهاز الكتروني اسمها باينري كود. باينري كود، الاكواد الثنائية. Okay, question number 3. Object code. Object code. ايه هو ال object code؟ The product of a compiler, a sequence of statements or instructions in a computer language. يعني بلغة الكمبيوتر هي مجموعة متتالية من الجمل اسمها object code. هنتكلم عنها اكتر في الباسج بس عايزاكم تفتكروها. sequence of statements or instructions in a computer language بلغة الكمبيوتر. question number 4. tamper. tamper, it takes the preposition with. tamper with. What's the meaning of tamper with? interfere with something in order to cause damage or make unauthorized alliteration. Let's say it again. Interfere with something in order to cause damage. أتدخل في برنامج أو أي شيء علشان أسبب damage للبرنامج دوت or to make unauthorized alteration يعني أي تغيير أو تعديل ما مش مسموح به. unauthorized اسمها tamper with. tamper with. question number 5. okay, Ruby, this is a dynamic open source programming language with a focus on simplicity and productivity. يعني نوع من أنواع البرمجة اللي بتركز على ال simplicity وال productivity يعني البساطة والإنتاجية. هي بتبقى من البرامج الحديثة مش من البرامج القديمة. question number 6. Python. طبعا أعتقد كلنا عارفين البايثون ده عبارة عن إيه؟ عبارة عن an interpreted high level general purpose programming language. again هي programming language يعني لغة من لغات البرمجة، وهي high level بس general purpose يعني الغرض عام جدا. اوكي، بس لازم نعرف ان هي لغة من لغات البروجرامينج وهي للجنرال purpose. Okay, question number 7. No matter the case. يعني على أي حال من الأحوال مهما كان الظرف أو الكيس أو اللي قدامي ده إيه، يعني معناها إيه؟ whatever, whichever, anyway, or regardless. Okay? ده معناها no matter the cases. Question number 8. Get the best of both worlds. Again, get the best of both worlds. يعني ايه؟ A situation in which you can enjoy the advantages of two very different things at the same time. طبعا هنا معناها ايه؟ ان انا استفيد advantages يعني مميزات، اخد المميزات بتاعت الاتنين. ايه هم الاتنين؟ هم اللي هتكلم عليهم في الباسج، هنشوف ايه هم دول. طب يعني ينفع اخد مميزات حاجة واحدة بس؟ لا، انا هنا السيتويشن بتاعي ان انا uh, I can enjoy the advantages of two very different things at the same time في نفس الوقت. اسمها ايه؟ get the best of both worlds. نحفظ الاكسبريشنز دي تساعدني جدا في الديلي situations بتاعتي. اوكي، get the best of both worlds. اخد افضل ما في الاتنين. اوكي، خلينا نشوف التبس بتاعتنا النهارده عبارة عن ايه. Do you know the meaning of the following terms? A compiler. A compiler. نركز مع بعض لأن هو دي الباسج بتاعتنا على الكلمتين اللي انتوا هتشوفوهم دلوقتي. ايه هو الكompiler؟ A compiler scans the entire program and translates the whole of it into machine code at once. Again, compiler scan بيعمل scanning لإيه؟ entire program، وبعد كده بيعمل إيه؟ and translates بيترجم the whole of it، بيعمل عليه scan للبرنامج كله ويترجمه كله انتوا إيه؟ machine code، لكود يفهمه الماشين أو الكمبيوتر at once مرة واحدة. أوكي؟ طيب ايه الفرق ما بين الكومبايلر؟ افهم كويس عشان دي الباسج. الفرق ما بين الكومبايلر والانتربريتر. An interpreter translates just one statement of the program at a time into machine code. ايوه، نقولها تاني كده. Interpreter translates just one statement، بيترجم statement واحدة بس، جملة واحدة of the program من البرنامج at time into machine code. يبقى الفرق ما بين الكومبايلر والانتربريتر ان الكومبايلر بيعمل سكان على البروجرام كله ويترانسليت كله مرة واحدة ويدخل الكود للماشين. اما الانتربريتر statement by statement. اوكي. interpreted code is slower. طبعا الكود اللي بيحصل له interpretation مش compiling بيبقى ايه؟ is slower to execute than compiled code. to execute يعني يتم تنفيذه، يعني بيبقى بطيء شوية في التنفيذ عن ال compiled code. Okay, so before I start here, let me show you something more words that we're going to meet. Okay. Let me share this screen. Okay. As we're used to have a look actually at some more vocabulary so that it will be easy for us when we read the passage, we know more more words that we can use in the passage. Okay, I have the first one, as I told you, compiler. Compiler. Okay, اللي هو بيترجم الأكواد للماشين. Number 2, executable file executable file دي الفايلات المسؤولة عن التنفيذ، تنفيذ الأوامر أو أي حاجة. adopt adopt something يعني يتبناها أو يتخذها. okay. source code comprehend طبعا كلمة comprehend يعني to understand something، جاية منها كلمة comprehension. comprehend this is the verb، comprehension this is the noun. comprehension قطعة فهم. okay. next binary code وتكلمنا عنها، اللي هي الأكواد اللي هي 0 1 اللي بيفهمها الكمبيوتر. next composed of، لما أقول لك دي composed of okay this passage is composed of يعني بتتكون من. okay. bug or debug، كلمة debug حاجة يعني صححها أو يعيد تصحيحها تاني، أما الباج لما يظهر عندي باجز كده يبقى في مشكلة، أعرف إن في مشكلة، لازم هيقف البروجرامينج أو هيقف الأكواد وهنرجع نبدأ من أول تاني. okay. to generate something يعني يولد حاجة، يخلق حاجة، يصنع حاجة. generate. okay. generate is the verb، the noun is generation يعني جيل. okay. unauthorized developers اللي هم المطورين الغير الغير مصرح لهم او اللي ممكن يدخلوا يعملوا هاكينج. اوكي. طبعا بتاخد الفيرب اللي هي tamper with، اللي هم بيبدأوا يعملوا بيعملوا damage لأي حاجة يدخلوا عليها. misuse they use it in an incorrect way. okay. these are the vocab, and let's right now go back to our passage, read it. Okay, let's start. So all of you please, I'll start. Listen carefully. Read the text about compilers and interpreters, then select which statement agrees with the text, A, B, or neither of them. Compiler versus interpreter. When writing computer software, programmers use high-level programming languages to tell the computer or any other programmable device what is to execute, what is to be executed. These programming languages adopt a high number of words from our everyday communication. For example, if, then, else, while, in, and break are some of the words that they actually adopt. To mention a few, the result of what is written by programmers is called source code. However, computers don't understand this type of high-level programming language. So, for the machine to run the code, it must first be translated into something computers can comprehend. This is called binary code or machine code, which is a language composed of zeros and ones. And this is the only language computers can distinguish. So, to convert source code to binary code, a compiler or an interpreter is used. فهمنا ايه من اول paragraph؟ Of course, first paragraph talks about how do we get to use codes to computers. What happens؟ ايه اللي بيحصل في البداية؟ ان البروجرامرز علشان يقدروا يعملوا البرامج او يستخدموا اللانجوجز للكمبيوتر بيعملوا ايه؟ اول حاجة بيأدبت ايه؟ number of words، بعض الكلمات اللي احنا بنستخدمها كل يوم زي if then else while و a lot of them. اوكي، next step، الخطوة اللي بعد كده ايه النتيجة بتبقى عندي؟ ايه الكلمات دي او الحصيلة دي؟ بيسموها source code. طيب الكمبيوتر يقدر يفهم السورس كود دي؟ نو، ما يقدرش يفهمها، لازم ادخلها للكمبيوتر في النكست ستيب. ازاي؟ من خلال ايه بقى؟ اقدر ادخلها من خلال حاجة اسمها باينري كود. باينري كود دي اللي هي الاكواد الثنائية اللي هي 0 و1، هي دي اللي يقدر يفهمها الكمبيوتر. بعد كده وطبعا هي دي this is the only language، هي دي اللغة الوحيدة اللي الكمبيوترز كان distinguish، يقدر يميزها او يفهمها. طيب بعد ما ادخلها بالطريقة الباينري كود، ايه اعمل ايه؟ to convert source code، عشان انا اقدر احول السورس كود اللي طوروها البروجرامرز بتوعي علشان يدخلوها للكمبيوتر، لازم استخدم الكومبايلر والانتربريتر. اوكي، let's start with the compiler. next paragraph، ندخل على الباراجراف اللي بعد كده، هيتكلم شوية عن الكومبايلر. ايه هو؟ A compiler will first read the entire source code and analyze it. This process may take some time. Although once the code is analyzed and compiled, the execution is a lot faster. If there is an error in the code, the compiler will output a message with information regarding the bug. Unfortunately, the compilation process will come to an end, but if there are no mistakes, the result will be object code, also referred to as binary code, which can be executed right away by the machine for which it was generated. Because executable files don't work on every platform, they must be generated for each one. Examples of programming languages that use compilers are C and C++. Okay. Second paragraph فهمت منه ايه؟ اتكلم شوية عن الكومبايلر. قال ايه عندي؟ ان الكومبايلر اول حاجة بيعملها ان هو بيقرأ السورس كود and analyze it. Okay. This process takes some time، تاخد شوية وقت. Although once a code is analyzed and compiled, the execution التنفيذ بيكون ايه؟ a lot faster، very fast، بيحصل بسرعة. لكن للأسف if there is an error in the code، ايه اللي بيحصل؟ الcompiling بيقف at once. But if there are no mistakes، لو ما فيش أي mistakes، the result will be object code. بيحصل عندي إيه؟ خلاص بتتكون الأوبجكت كود اللي الكمبيوتر بتاعي هو ده اللي بيتعامل بيها، بتطلع عندي اللي هي اسمها الباينري كودز. أوكي. Third paragraph، one of the most important طبعا of course هو قبل ما ادخل على third paragraph second paragraph هو اداني examples على البروجرامينج language دي اللي بتستخدم الكومبايلرز اللي هي ايه؟ السي and C++. اوكي، وقال انه احنا ما يعني الاكسكيوشن دوت ما بيبقاش سهل على اي برنامج، لا كل حاجة ليها بلاتفورم معينة. اوكي. طيب third paragraph، one of the most important advantages of compilers is that the source code is no longer needed after the executable file is built.
This protects the source code from unauthorized developers or hackers who may wish to tamper with and misuse it. The downside is that if any changes need to be made, the programmer necessarily needs the source files. As a result, regular backups are highly recommended in these scenarios. Okay. Paragraph 3 بيقول ايه؟ Most important advantages, the good thing about that للcompilers يعني ان السورس كود دوت ما بيبقى خلاص مش بنحتاجه after the executable file is built. بعد ما بنبني خلاص الأمر التنفيذية بتاعتي خلاص ما ببقاش محتاجة للإيه للexecutable للsource code. ده بيحمينا this protects source code from إيه من الهاكرز اللي ممكن يمسيوز أو يستخدموها باستخدام سيء أو بشكل مش مظبوط. طيب if there is any downsides يعني لو في أي changes need to be made لازم في أي تغييرات أو تعديلات إحنا عايزين نعملها programmer necessarily needs the source file. للأسف بيضطر إن هو يبقى عايزه تاني علشان يلجأ له لو في أي إيه downsides أو something to be it needs to be changed. طيب نتيجة لكده إيه؟ إن لازم يبقى عندي باك اب. backups are highly recommended. يعني إحنا بنوصي إن لازم يبقى في باك اب معمول. أوكي؟ طيب next paragraph number 4. An interpreter. هنتكلم بقى على الانتربريتر. اتكلمنا على الكومبايلر. هنتكلم على الانتربريتر. An interpreter does things differently. It will not convert the source code into binary code all at once. Instead, it translates each statement at a time as the program is being executed, which makes interpretation faster when it comes to analyzing and processing the program. If an error is encountered, the code's execution will stop abruptly. This can be considered a benefit since the bug can easily be found. Interpreters are used by programming languages like Ruby and Python, for example. Okay. زي ما أنا قلت لكم في المقدمة إنه الانتربريتر ده شوية مختلف لأنه بيعمل إيه؟ It convert يعني بيحول السورس كود into binary code زي ما احنا اتفقنا بس مش all at once مش البرنامج كله all at once لا statement by statement. اوكي ده it makes interpretation ده بيخلي عملية الترجمة faster. امتى؟ لما باجي احلل واعمل البروسيس دي للبرمجة. والميزة كمان انه لو في error if an error is encountered لو حصل اي error الكود بسرعة الكود's execution اللي هو بتاع التنفيذي هيقف immediately. دي طبعا benefit ليه؟ لان احنا بنقدر نتعرف since the bug can easily be found نقدر نلاقي البج على طول ونعمل debug. اوكي interpreters هنا البروجرامرز دي البروجرامينج لانجويج دي اللي بتستخدم فور اكزامبل هنا اللي هي الروبي والبايثون هما اللي بيقدروا يستخدموا الانتربريتر. اوكي next interpreters are beneficial in that they are quite easy to use by new programmers and there is no storing of machine code. Nevertheless, the source code will always be required every time an execution is performed. So, it must be shared with the end user. This makes the source code vulnerable. There is also a noticeable difference in speed. No matter the case, interpreted programs run slower than compiled ones. It's a kind of like comparison between the interpreter and the compiler. فهو بيقول ان ال interpreters بيبقوا beneficial، يعني في ميزة في استخدامها، يعني ان هم بيبقوا quite easy، سهل جدا to use، خاصة للنيو programmers، المبرمجين اللي لسه بيبقوا junior كده. بيقول كمان انه there is no storing، مفيش تخزين للماشين كود، والسورس كود will always be required، لكن بيقول انه لازم كده كده في كل الاحوال لازم السورس كود يبقى required، زي ما قلنا لازم يتعمل باك اب عندنا عشان بنحتاجه في كل الاحوال. Next, a paragraph, an example of how to get the best out of both worlds is Java. This programming language first compiles its source code into object code, which is an intermediary code that no processor can execute. Then, at runtime, the Java virtual machine interprets this code into machine code for the underlying platform in the specific targeted device. الباراجراف ده اتكلم فيه على الجافا، اوكي، والجافا دي طبعا هي عبارة عن ايه برضو programming language، والجافا هي بيقول ان هي اخدت احسن ما في الاتنين، في الانتربريتر وفي الكومبايلر. بتعمل ايه؟ انه first it compiles، بتعمل سكاننج على كل البرنامج للسورس كود دوت، وبتحوله الاوبجكت كود، اوكي، اللي هي الباينري، ودي بتبقى عملية ايه intermediary، يعني وسطى. بعد كده بيعمل ايه؟ بعد كده في الران تايم الجافا دي virtual machine دي interprets this code into machine، بعد كده بيتم تحويلها ل للكود بتاع الماشين نفسه، بتاع اي جهاز الكتروني نفسه هتشتغل عليه، لاي بلاتفورم هي هتدخل عليه. last paragraph بيقول انه fortunately you won't have to decide which to implement depending on the programming language you choose to code in. The decision has already been made for you, since most languages have by now adopted one or the other. However, if you wish to keep your skills sharp, you should try programming in different languages, one that makes use of a compiler and another that uses an interpreter. Of course, طبعا this is an advice to junior software engineers who are using the programming, okay, and that they have to use both of them and take the advantages of both of them. Right now, we don't even have to choose which one to use, because technology is like running very fast. So we're obliged to use the latest always, but the good programmer is the one who uses everything to know advantages and disadvantages and can deal with all of them. Okay, and that's all about it. Let's start the exercises. So exercise number 1, let's have a look at the questions. Question number 1 says, select which statement agrees with the text, A, B, or neither of them. Question 1, source code must be translated because. فاكرين الكلام ده؟ source code must be translated، لازم نترجم السورس كود. Why? Because هنسيب دقيقة كده فكروا. What do you think? it's unintelligible to most humans ولا only computers can understand it ولا neither of them ولا neither of it. Let's see, this one or this one or neither. Let's try this one. Let's see whether it's correct or not. Oh, incorrect. So what do you think? Source code must be translated because, what do you think? Neither of them. Why do we need to translate source codes? Question number 2. Binary code is used because a compiler says it's necessary, or it's the only language which can be distinguished by computers, or neither. What do you think? نفكر مع بعض كده. Let's try to choose. Maybe let's see whether it's correct or not. Very good. برافو عليكم. Yes, compiler says here binary code is used ليه? Because it's the only language which can be distinguished by computers. Question number 3. Execution is a lot faster. Execution قلنا اللي هو تنفيذ الأوامر or instructions or anything is faster إمتى؟ Once the interpreter has analyzed the source code, once the compiler has finished analyzing and compiling the source code, or neither. What do you think? Let's again choose this one and let's see whether it's correct or not. Very good. So we said that the execution is a lot faster once the compiler has finished. ليه؟ لأن الcompiling بتحصل إنه بيسcan the whole program at once and then بيحصل execution very fast. Question number 4. The interpreter is not exactly the same as the compiler because هما مختلفين. ليه؟ During execution, the interpreter translates statements one by one. During execution, the interpreter finds and solves errors without halting the process, or neither. What do you think? Again, let's try this one. Let's see whether right or wrong. Oh, this time it's wrong. So what do you think? Yes, that's right. So the interpreter is not exactly the same as the compiler because during execution, the interpreter translates statements one by one. لو فاكرين زي ما قلنا كده. Okay, question number 5. One benefit of using interpreters is ايه هي البنفيت او المصلحة اللي لما بنستخدم الانتربريترز نستفيد ايه الاستفادة بتاعتنا؟ Machine code is always easily stored, or the source code doesn't need to be shared, or neither. What do you think? Let's try this one. Again. So what do you think is the right answer? One benefit of using interpreters is, let's see the right answer, neither of them. Okay.
Question number 6. Java. Do you remember Java? Java, طبعا of course one programming language. Java shares what? Qualities of both the compiler and the interpreter, or it shares machine code with all users, or neither? What do you think? What do you think? Let's see. Let's try this one. Yes, very good this time. So Java shares qualities of both the compiler and the interpreter. Okay, very good. I hope you understood the reading. And let's right now be prepared for the listening. Of course, listening, I want you to just prepare yourself for listening. Listening is about the benefit of experience. The benefit of experience. The benefit of experience. استفادة or the good thing of experience من الخبرة. Let's see what is it about. طبعا of course, what do we do? Steps for listening. Number 1, you have to listen to the whole conversation without stopping so that you can know the speakers. I want you to identify the speakers. I want you to identify the issue. What are they talking about? Is speaker 1 asking speaker B of something, or what's the issue about? Okay, and next step is that I want you to just listen part by part so that we could go like for answering the whole questions about listening. Before we start listening, of course, you know, is that we are going to have a look at some vocab that will help us during the listening. So, exercise number 1, question 1. Snippet. Let's say it again. Snippet. What is the snippet? Snippet is a small region of reusable source code, machine code, or text, brief extracts of text or speech, often a quotable passage. Okay. ايه هي السنابت؟ معناها ايه؟ يعني حاجة بسيطة صغيرة، يا إما ماشين كود، يا إما source code، يا إما brief extract of text or speech، يعني مقتطفات من، يعني أشياء صغيرة كده، pieces of. أوكي؟ اسمها إيه؟ snippet. اسمها snippet. أوكي. Question 2. replicate. replicate. To replicate something معناها to reproduce or make an exact copy of something. يبقى replicate معناها ايه؟ بعمل exact copy، يعني نسخة استنساخ of something. Okay. Next, question 3. lambda. lambda. What's the lambda? Like a set of signs that are used to identify and refer to objects of various kinds. Okay. نوع من الترميز باللغة الأبجدية. blur. Question 4. blur. blur means to make something become unclear، يعني يطمس شيء أو يخليه باهت كده، معالمه مش واضحة. To make something become unclear or less distinct. blur. Question number 5. namespace. namespace. set of signs that are used to identify and refer to objects of various kinds. جاية منها نفسها هي name space set of signs هي رموز. Question 6 shadowing هنا معناها ايه؟ shadowing معناها اني بقلد حاجة واعمل زيها بالظبط. shadowing لما اجي مثلا في كورس السبيكينج واقول لك انت تكنيك من التكنيكس اللي انت لازم تعملها الشادوينج، يعني تقلد التيتشر اللي قدامك او الانستراكتور بالظبط. ليه؟ عشان اتكلم بالظبط زي دي اسمها shadowing. اوكي معناها ايه؟ when a variable declared within a certain scope has the same name as a variable declared in an outer scope. Again, variable declared within a certain scope يعني معروف بسكوب معين has the same name ليه نفس الاسم as a variable declared in an outer scope في سكوب تاني خالص outer scope. ده اسمه shadowing. ليه هنا نفس النيم اللي هنا. اوكي هو same variable نفس الفاريبل اللي same name في الايه في outer scope. اوكي question number 7 built-in function. طبعا كلنا عارفين هنا يعني ايه built-in. حاجه built-in يعني في الجهاز نفسه منه نفسه. اوكي built-in function يعني وظيفه a block of code that can be passed as an argument to a function call. الكلام ده صح ولا غلط؟ What do you think؟ طيب خلينا نشوف. الكلام ده مش صحيح. الكلام الصح بتاعنا ايه؟ انه built-in function يعني something which is already defined in a program or programming framework with a set of statements. حاجة معرفة موجودة في البرنامج نفسه بسات اوف يعني مجموعة من الستيتمنتس. built-in function هو function موجود فيها كده ومعرف. اوكي question number 8 لما اجي اقول لك it's a bad practice يعني ايه bad practice؟ خلينا نشوف الإجابة الصحيحة. undesirable or negative method of operation or way of behavior. اوكي يبقى bad practice undesirable or negative method طريقة غير مرغوب فيها للأوبريشن لتنفيذ حاجة معينة. اوكي Okay, let's have a look at the tip. What's a DEF statement? طيب احنا هنا في مش عايزة اقول لكم حاجة عن الليسننج بس هديكم بريف كده. Okay. DEF is the key word for defining a function. يبقى انا هنا هتعامل مع الايه؟ مع الفانكشن. يبقى انا بعرف الفانكشن بكتب قبلها ايه؟ DEF. Okay. The function name is followed by parameters in like you can see down الexample اللي موجود تحت DEF function. بدي الفانكشن name والبارامترز بتاعتي طبعا between brackets بحطهم بين أقواس. okay and then colon زي ما انتم شايفين نقطتين فوق بعض colon and then after that تحت the start of the function body بكتب الفانكشن body بتاعتي which is marked by indentation. بعلمها بعلامات تنصيص زي ما انتم شايفين كده زي ما مكتوب ايه تحت. ايوه inside the function body the return statement and then بكتب statement 1 statement 2 until I finish the statements بتاعتي. بكتب return يعني انا ببقى جاهز ل another ايه another one another function. okay دي what's the DEF statement. okay right now are you ready؟ هنسمع مع بعض الليسننج كله وبعدين I'll stop it part by part. Let's see. First of all, try to know what is the issue about, who are the speakers, and let's move part by part. Are you ready? Yes, let's start.
Hey Jenny, can you take a look at these few snippets and suggest any corrections?
Sure thing. What have you got there?
Thanks. So this part here is supposed to compare the two variables and return a string that will be passed to the XPC function. The function should then replicate the string and output the result to the console, but something's not working here.
Okay, let me take a look. All right. First of all, you're using a lambda here, but you ought to be using a def statement. It's not critical, but it's more useful for tracebacks and string representations. And most of all, it effectively blurs the real issue.
The real issue? Which is?
Which is the scope. Look here, in this section. Not only are you using a variable whose scope is local, it exists only inside this function, but you're also then trying to pass it on to another function as its argument. This won't work as this variable is not available for any other function in this namespace.
And the sum variable here?
Well, it shadows the sum function, which is a built-in function, but this will not raise any exceptions here. It's just bad practice. Shadowing is a common source of errors, so if you don't need it and can avoid it, then you should avoid it.
Noted. Never is it advisable to use shadowing without knowing what I'm doing. Holy cat, Jenny, you're a genius.
Not a genius, really. Just happen to have written a few lines of code more in my life than you, that's all. Don't worry, your code writing will be better and better the more you work with real projects and actual code, and the more often it gets reviewed by me or anyone else on the team. We all like helping juniors. Besides, that's part of the job.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, just tell me how many of you have got the names of the speakers? I know some of you've got it. Yes, I can hear it. Someone is saying, yeah. Okay, so the conversation is between a man and, yes, a woman. What's the man's name? The man's name is, yeah, Adam. That's right. And the woman's name is Jenny. Of course, yes, that's correct. Okay, who get the issue? What is the issue about? Who is asking, the man or the woman? Okay, let's hear first part again. I would like you to listen deeply and try to find what is the issue about. Is the man asking something or the woman? And who are they? What do you think? Managers, engineers? Let's see. Again, listen, please, attentively.
Hey Jenny, can you take a look at these few snippets and suggest any corrections?
Sure thing. What have you got there?
Thanks. So this...
Okay, so, well, what did Adam say? He said, hey, Jenny, can you take a look at these few snippets? فاكرين كلمة snippets? Like extracts or statements, and suggest any corrections. So he's asking Jenny to have a look at the snippets and to, if there is any correction, she will correct that. What did she say, Jenny? She said, sure thing. What have you got there? Let's see. Let's listen to this again.
Suggest any corrections.
Sure thing. What have you got there?
Thanks. So this part here is supposed to compare the two variables and return a string that will be passed to the XPC function. The function should then replicate the string and output the result to the console, but something's not working here.
Okay, let me...
Okay, so it seems that Adam has a problem. Okay, he showed her the snippet and he was asking her to have a look if there is any correction, right or not? Yes, very good. Okay, so he said that she has to have a look at the snippets and tell him. He says that the snippet is supposed to compare يعني يقارن ما بين two variables and return a string that will be passed to the XBC function. The function should then replicate the string and output the result to the console, but something is not working here. يبقى المشكلة عنده فين؟ إنه there is something wrong in the snippet that he showed her. Okay? He's saying that it's a kind of a comparison between two variables. عنده two variables. دي comparison ما بينهم. هو بيقول إن لازم السترينج أو الستيتمنت أو الفانكشن أو الجملة أو العبارة اللي هو بيدخلها دي لازم تبقى تتحول it will be passed to the XBC function تتحول الفانكشن دي. الفانكشن should be then replicate the string قدام. تبقى الفانكشن زيها زي السترينج أو الستيتمنت اللي قدام. والoutput result to the console but اللي حاصل إن هي مش راضية تطلع زي ما هو بيقول. فهو عنده مشكلة. طب let's see what is Jenny going to tell him. What is or where is the problem? Let's start from the beginning again. Try to listen to this again and continue. Okay?
Suggest any corrections.
Sure thing. What have you got there?
Thanks. So this part here is supposed to compare the two variables and return a string that will be passed to the XBC function. The function should then replicate the string and output the result to the console. But something's not working here.
Okay, let me take a look. All right. First of all, you're using a lambda here, but you ought to be using a def statement. It's not critical, but it's more useful for tracebacks and string representations. And most of all, it effectively blurs the real issue.
The real issue? Which is?
Which is the scope. Look here, in this section. Not only are you using a variable whose scope is local, it exists only inside this function, but you're also then trying to pass it on to another function as its argument. This won't work as this variable is not available for any other function in this namespace.
And the sum variable here?
Okay. So, well, what is the problem with Adam's snippet? What did Jenny tell Adam? She said, okay, let me take a look. And then she said, first of all, أول مشكلة عنده كانت إيه؟ You're using a lambda here, but you ought to be using a def statement. فاكرين لما أنا قلت لكم شرحت لكم الفانكشن بنريبريزنت الفانكشن بإيه؟ بالDEF statement. اوكي def statement بس هو استخدم اللامدا اللي هي رموز أبجدية تانية ما استخدمش الدef statement. اوكي it's not critical يعني عادي مش مشكلة مش حاجة مرة صعبة but it's more useful to tracebacks and string representations مهم جدا للstring representations and most of all أهم شيء it effectively blurs the real issue يعني بتطمس المشكلة الأساسية بتاعتك الريل issue قال لها إيه هي الريل issue بقى؟ Okay, let's listen to this part again ونشوف صح الكلام ده اللي سمعناه ولا لا.
Here.
Okay, let me take a look. All right. First of all, you're using a lambda here, but you ought to be using a def statement. It's not critical, but it's more useful for tracebacks and string representations. And most of all, it effectively blurs the real issue.
The real issue? Which is?
Which is the scope. Look here, in this section. Not only are you using a variable whose scope is local, it exists only inside this function, but you're also then trying to pass it on to another function as its argument. This won't work as this variable is not available for any other function in this namespace.
And the sum variable here?
Well, it shadows the sum function, which is a built-in function, but this will not raise any exceptions here. It's just bad practice. Shadowing is a common source of errors, so if you don't need it and can avoid it, then you should.
Okay. Well, again, Jenny said that the real issue was the scope. It blurs the scope. يعني هي طمست مشكلة السكوب بتاعه. كان ايه هو السكوب بتاع آدم؟ قالت له ان انت you used a variable whose scope is local. يعني السكوب اللي انت كنت بتستخدمه local. But you're also then trying to pass it to another function as its argument. ودي كانت المشكلة بتاعته. قالت له this won't work as this variable is not available. مش موجود for any other function. مش موجود في any other function in this namespace. قال لها and the sum variable. سألها على السم variable. sum variable السم اللي هي الجمع. قالت له انه السم variable دي it shadows the sum function. بالظبط زيها زي السم function. يبقى السم ده function اللي هي الايه وظيفة السم which is built in. يبقى السم function built in في السيستم نفسه. اوكي نسمع تاني الجزء ده. let's see.
Local, it exists only inside this function, but you're also then trying to pass it on to another function as its argument. This won't work as this variable is not available for any other function in this namespace.
And the sum variable here?
Well, it shadows the sum function, which is a built-in function, but this will not raise any exceptions here. It's just bad practice. Shadowing is a common source of errors, so if you don't need it and can avoid it, then you should avoid it.
Noted. Never is it advisable to use shadowing without knowing what I'm doing. Holy cat, Jenny, you're a genius.
Not a genius, really.
Okay, so well, Adam said something very good. He said that it is advisable to use shadowing. It's not advisable actually to use shadowing. ما قالتش أبدا أي حاجة without knowing what I'm doing. Okay, okay, and then the woman is going to give him an advice. Let's listen to the advice.
Just happen to have written a few lines of code more in my life than you, that's all. Don't worry, your code writing will be better and better the more you work with real projects and actual code, and the more often it gets reviewed by me or anyone else on the team. We all like helping juniors. Besides, that's part of the job.
Thank you.
Okay. She told him, Jenny told him actually, I am not a genius. Come on, really, just happened to have written a few lines of code more in my life than you. It means that she had done many writing codes, and she had been reviewed by many others, like of course seniors. That's why right now she is perfect in that. So one day she's advising him, and we get to expect that Adam is a junior software engineer who's trying to make a code writing. So she said, in the future, you will be the best. As much as you work, you will get better actually. So قالت له ايه, don't worry, your code writing will be better and better the more you work with real projects and and the more you get revised from seniors. Okay, this is all about the listening. Let's have a look at the questions and let's see if we can answer them correctly. Question number 1. Listen to software engineers discussing a work issue, then select the work answer options. Okay, question number 1. Select the most probable statement describing the man and woman. The woman is a software tester and the man is an experienced software developer. So how can we describe them? Or the woman is the team leader and the man is a junior software tester. Or the woman is a project manager and the man is a senior developer. Or the last one, the woman is an experienced senior developer and the man has recently started his job. Let's guess what is the right answer. What do you suggest? I can hear it. Okay, I don't know. Let's try this one. Maybe this is correct. Let's see if this is correct or not. Excellent, very good. The woman is an experienced senior developer. So both of them are developers, but she is senior and the man has recently started his work. Question number 2. What's the biggest problem with the man's code? Let's see, what was the problem with the man's code? It contains too many local variables, or it uses a def or def statement instead of a lambda function. It shadows the name of a built-in function, or it uses a local variable outside its scope. What do you think? Let's try. I'm hearing many of your answers. Let's try one of them. Maybe it uses a local variable outside its scope. Excellent, very good. So the problem with the man is that he uses a local variable outside its scope, this is the real issue that they were talking about. Okay, question number 3. It compares 3 variables. Here it says a beneficial result of using a def statement is. It compares 3 variables. Okay. Or it's more useful for tracebacks and string representations, or it doesn't blur the real issue, or the man has more experience using them. Of course هنا ال beneficial result of using يعني الاستفادة هنا من استخدام ال def statement ايه؟ إنه it's more useful for tracebacks and string representations. Okay, question number 4, it says that the woman says shadowing should be avoided because, so why do we have to avoid shadowing أو نبعد أو ما نستخدمش shadowing? It raises too many exceptions, ولا typically it can provoke errors, ولا you need to be a genius to understand it fully, ولا the man is too experienced to rely on something so simple. What do you think? طبعا دي إجابة مش صحيحة. It raises too many exceptions. طب what do you think? Let's see. Yes, very good. Typically, it can provoke errors. It can make errors, okay? So this is the second part or section 3, listening, the benefits of experience. Well, after we finish always reading and listening, we take a break for 10 minutes and well, we will continue with the grammar sections. So take a break for 10 minutes and we will come back. طيب